I'm Jay Livingston. I lead Global Sales Enablement at Corporate Visions. I joined Corporate Visions a couple of years ago as what we call a senior client partner. And a senior client partner role at Corporate Visions really is it's like the subject matter expert for everything that CVI does after a sale happens. And so those folks come alongside of our clients and help them to execute on whatever they've purchased. And what was sort of made me uniquely qualified to do that role is I actually brought CVI on as a client 2 times before I joined the company. So I was the head of sales enablement at a large pharmaceutical organization and also a healthcare organization in the Charlotte area. And so I'd had some previous experience. And I always found that one of the things that I loved most about being in my sales enablement leadership role was being able to meet with the CVI team and learn more about sales enablement and how sales teams go out and generate revenue. And I was a salesperson. And so for me, one of the things that always eluded me as a salesperson was I had a good story, but why didn't I win as often as I thought I should have? And it wasn't until I really started to learn about buyer psychology and the status quo and a lot of the things that we teach that really helped me understand that. And so when the opportunity came to jump over and to work at CVI, now leading enablement for, in my opinion, the greatest sales enablement organization there is such an incredible honor. Yeah, so what motivated us to reevaluate and change our sales enablement tech stack is this idea that sellers need to be able to execute their motions in a simpler way, right? There's many ways to be able to do that. But one of the things that I think sometimes organizations can struggle with is an abundance of technology tools. And so as much as we can, how can we consolidate into a single platform? One, to make it simple. Sales is very hard. And so the more barriers and potential obstacles you put in the way, the more you make it more difficult to execute, right? They're managing email, they're managing, other various other technology platforms. And so the idea here is how can we make their work in the flow of their work, right, more accessible and more simple to execute from one place. And so we can talk a little bit about some of the engagement analytics that Highspot offers, but one of the most favorite things that we have or that Highspot offers is the ability to execute a component of a sales motion right from the platform. And the best part is to get those engagement analytics right away. And I would say that overwhelmingly, the feedback that we're getting from our sellers by way of a screenshot of like, hey, look at all the engagement emails and openings that I'm getting of assets and content that I'm sending. That's really encouraging to see. And so the bet is we're going to make it simpler for sales folks to do their job. And what's been shown so far is that's absolutely the case. And so I think what Highspot allows sales enablement professionals to do is to focus on those more strategic things rather than some of the details. For example, I've got a VP on my team. He used to tell me, hey, I used to get emails all the time asking from sales folks, hey, where's this or where's that? Highspot has just made it so much simpler for our sellers to go and execute their sales motions. Yeah, so how do we drive rep productivity? So one of the neat things about the Corporate Visions methodology, and this goes back to why I love what the organization does, is that everything that Corporate Visions puts out into the sales enablement space is done so in a way that specifically addresses questions or needs that a customer might have. For example, if you look at our portfolio, right, we don't just talk about selling skills. We talk about selling skills or messaging skills or leadership skills or capabilities that are specific to a motion that a client is looking to address. Are we trying to win new business? Are we trying to renew existing business? Are we trying to upsell our existing customer base? Our sales folks are having a hard time moving from discovery conversation to a second conversation. There are times when we need to get into the C-suite and our sales team is not able to effectively to communicate that value to executive stakeholders. And so the neat thing about how we exercise our go-to-market and focus on efficiency is we ask our sellers and we teach our sellers to be able to lean into each of those unique and specific commercial moments with the right set of skills, with the right set of tools, and with the right set of assets. So that we're not going into a sales situation where we're trying to acquire, but using a different component of the methodology maybe than we should be using. Yeah, so some of the go-to-market initiatives. So one of our recent monikers that we've adopted on the leadership team is drinking our own champagne, right? It's quite honestly, it's something that a lot of organizations should think of, right? So we propose a way for our clients to solve their revenue goals, right? How effective are we at applying that to the way that we gear up our sales teams to go and execute the same way? And so one of the things that Corporate Visions is widely known for is our ability to create enterprise points of view, right? Or we might call it an enterprise message. And so in that enterprise message, we're essentially telling the market, hey, these are some of the challenges and the issues that you're dealing with. This is what we're hearing from our customers, right? These are some of the ways that you're trying to solve for those. And these are good things, but are these all the things that you could be doing? In our nomenclature, we might call them unconsidered needs. What are the things that you're addressing? But maybe what are those hidden forces that you're not addressing that you should be addressing? And so we build messages that specifically allow our sales team to go and execute those motions in a very thoughtful and proactive way. And one of the ways that we've leveraged our Highspot instance to do that is we created a spot, an enterprise message spot. And so what we do is we load up all of the learning assets that a salesperson would need. We load up videos and PowerPoints and all the tools that a seller would use to engage with a client at the top of the funnel, right? What's that next level conversation down? What are those tools and assets? And what is that next level conversation down as well? And so we create this environment where we give sellers the opportunity to learn. And then here's the best part. We ask them to show up on a call with their peers and with some of our executive master facilitators, some of the best facilitators of corporate vision skills training in the world. And we ask them to demonstrate those skills, right? In this environment where it's very, very difficult, because talking to a customer is one thing, but talking around your peers and talking around other experts is a completely different phenomenon. So if we can get a glimpse as to how our sellers are engaging with impact in those moments in an internal environment, it gives us the confidence to be able to set them out in that external world to be able to execute those moments as well. When we launched Highspot, one of the very first initiatives we launched it with was the enterprise message. And so again, I talked a little bit about engagement analytics at first and foremost. So what happens when you create a spot and you tell the seller, hey, on this date, this is what you're going to be responsible for. We're going to help you get there, but here's all the tools and the assets and everything that you would need to prepare for that moment. Oh, and by the way, this is really going to happen. And so what do you think happens to the engagement analytics when you send out a message about that? I mean, it's instantly becomes the number one spot in the entire ecosystem that our sales team goes and reviews. And so what I would say is we experienced 100% verbal fluency certification of the new enterprise message. And we continue to tell that story, right, as we're continuing to gear up for that and more plays out into the market. And I would just say that the story resonates because it really talks about what's happening in the Uber. That's the fact that the year over year win rates were down about 22% according to our data. And there's a lot of things that revenue leaders are pressured by, right? And they're doing some of the basic things like process improvement, or maybe they call it getting back to basics, or some of the other tactical things that are happening. And those things are really good. But the challenge is, right, those things will only get you so far. And so the story that we're telling is resonating because we're telling prospects and existing customers what other tactics they can apply to get over that we call it the chaos gap, right? That sellers nowadays are really having a hard time navigating. And it comes to the fact that you have to be so much more versatile than you used to have to be. There's the buying committees are insane now. I think there's like somewhere between 11 and 14 people that are responsible for making a decision. And the higher the financial value is, the higher level you have to get into the organization. And then the third thing is that the stories that you tell, unless you're telling a really impactful, hard-hitting story, everybody sounds like everybody else. And so we help organizations act in those moments to be differentiated and memorable, right? And that's really what salespeople want to be. They want to be memorable. They don't want to be like everyone else. I'm most excited about the idea of collaboration. I spent most of my early career as a seller. And for the most part, like a lot of new sellers, you try to figure things out on your own. And then you learn about this world of other people in your ecosystem that can come alongside you and help support you in whatever those efforts and endeavors may be, right? So I sort of call that human capital resource allocation, if you will. And one of the things that's really neat about Highspot is corporate visions is a lot of things, right? We're not a technology company. And so having been an enablement leader for several years now, it's really important both from an internal perspective to have that technology that allows you to take all of the great things that you have, your stuff, if you will, and bring it to life. And so that's what that does from an internal perspective. And then externally, right, again, I talked about this before, we now have this amazing opportunity to be able to act quicker and to receive feedback more quickly. But here's the other thing, right? So we're brand new in this partnership for the most part. And I just met with members of the partner team yesterday, and we're spinning up a whole strategy. So what I'm most excited about in terms of the evolution is taking this idea of collaboration and working together and starting to spread that out throughout the extensions of our organization, so that our sales team understands the promise and the power and the capability of the relationships and the engagement levels that our Highspot folks have, and vice versa. And I truly believe that if you've got two teams who understand what each other's unique skills, gifts, capabilities are, and we can build a story that allows each of those to be told in a way that a client or a prospect might say, I can't do this without corporate visions, and I can't do this without Highspot. And if we can appropriately motivate and inform and sort of spark that kind of collaboration with our teams, I think there's no potential end to what this partnership may bring to both of us. And so I don't really think that we can do it without each other, is what I'm trying to say. Our partner team has access to our Highspot platform very much just like a CVI employee would. And so in much the same way, I have a member of my team or a partner in my team that is specifically responsible for partner or what we call affiliate enablement. And so a lot of the things that we spin up from a strategic perspective to take care of our sort of internal teams, we partner with our affiliate partner to execute the same motions. And so they've got sort of their whole motion. So they have calls and other initiatives and other meetings that they have around engagement and some of the strategies that they're executing. And so what I would say is we take a version of what we create, which I would call maybe a little bit more comprehensive, and then we try to pull out the aspects of it for our affiliates and our partners, because CVI isn't their full-time job. And so we want to make sure, again, that we're setting them up for success, giving them sort of more just what they need versus maybe asking them to do some of the exact same things, but in a way that helps promote whatever their goals are, right? And so, as I mentioned before, our affiliates don't just represent corporate visions in their world, and so we have to be mindful of the goals that they're trying to achieve. But they've got full access. They have full access to the tool. They have full access to me and my team. They have full access to our sales team and other leadership that we work with, and we invite them to participate and engage in every activity that we do. A business challenge that we've overcome, and I don't know that we necessarily did this on our own, but I'm aware that this is a business challenge. So the when you're in an enablement role, right, you sit between a lot of different commercial operations. And one of the hallmarks of enablement, I remember when I got involved in enablement, I don't know, gosh, now it's been probably 10 or 12 years ago. One of the things that I learned about enablement is that sellers spend an inordinate amount of time each month preparing their own content, looking for content, right? Again, getting back to this idea of so there's a lot of technology out there. Sellers have a lot of tools at their disposal. They have a lot of goals. We in a headquarters environment have time to sit around and think about how to improve some of these processes. Salespeople don't, right? They're running from call to call to call, always trying to be ready to meet that moment. And so one of the main challenges I've been focused on, quite honestly, for more than just the last couple of years at CVI, is how do we make content and resources and tools and assets more purpose-driven, more readily available, more easily findable, and then more from a usability perspective, make it easier for those sales folks to be able to execute in those moments. And so I remember when we first rolled out Highspot here back a few months ago, one of the things that a member of my team, Eric is a VP on our team, would say, man, he's like, I don't have time to do all the things that I need to do because I'm constantly getting emails or messages or Slacks about, hey, where's this and where's this and where's this? And since we've launched Highspot, literally, I no longer have to field any of those calls. As a matter of fact, just in the month, I think we had been maybe a month in at that point, the amount of time that Eric has been able to get back in his day to not have to field those it can be very annoying requests, right? Because how many times do we tell our sellers where things are, how to use them, right? And you almost wonder sometimes, are they listening, right? Are we not communicating it effectively? All of a sudden now we're seeing literally no request for where is this, how do I use it, right? And so again, what I would say is it's not bulletproof, right? There's always going to be opportunities to improve. But one of the hallmarks of the way that I've tried to lead enablement organizations is to really have it boil down to two things. One, what is the seller's or what is your colleague's ability to be able to execute in this moment, right? We can lean into the ability to help them get better. And two, what is their willingness? And willingness oftentimes is influenced by how easy something is to execute. And so if we can remove the willingness component, then we can just focus squarely on the ability. And so as we continue to move forward, right, those are really the two things that we continue to evaluate ourselves by. Are we making it simple? And how are we helping folks coach, or how are we coaching folks to get better and to be more effective and to utilize these, these amazing tools and opportunities that we all have? What advice would I give about enabling the impossible? So it never stops, right? I mean, it might be a little bit provocative to say, but enablement is not a one-time thing. Like training is not a one-time thing. Like a coaching conversation is not a one-time thing. Enablement really is an all hands on deck activity and initiative within an organization. So I happen to be ultimately responsible for sales enablement, but I also work with many people in the organization who are also doing their own enabling. And so as an enablement person, it's not just enough to, set up a sales play, right? To run a particular, play out of a spot in Highspot, or to run a sales initiative, or to set up some sort of a training initiative, but it's constantly looking at what's happening within the business. Where are we? Where are we going? How are we going to get there? Right? And then just being committed to this idea of enablement is 360 degrees, right? It's 365, it's 24/7, whatever moniker you want to use. And literally it's the one role within the organization that has to almost have the best bout of amnesia, because if you can't commit yourself to this idea that you might have to repeat yourself, but you're repeating yourself in a new and a different and a unique way to try and drive specific action, right? I go back to something that I said a few minutes ago, and that sellers, their world is a lot different than ours. We have time to sit around and think about how to improve things. We just have to be committed to the idea that just because we create a great plan or we send out a really inspiring message or we create a great play, maybe they're in a moment in that particular moment where it doesn't land on them the way that you wanted it to. And that's okay, right? Come back. Hey, did you get a chance to review that? What did you think? We'd love to have your feedback, right? Just continually be or have this attitude of it's never done. And I think if you can convince yourself that that's okay, then it gives you, the satisfaction to know that there's always opportunity to improve, to make things better, and to continue, having that message ring true throughout the organization. Just don't ever stop. Stay committed.